And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you're listening. It's Tuesday. It's June 3rd. It's 2025. And as always, serious talk on everything that affects you, the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, debt, deficits, tariffs, big, beautiful bills that are too big. Elon Musk, who agrees with me 100%. Do you know why he agrees with me? Because I'm right 100% of the time when it comes to what they are doing in D.C. But we'll get to that later. What we do now is introduce and do markets. If you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And as we promised you, we will be doing some YouTube-ish sooner rather than later, where you will be seeing me as we do the show and do charts as we do the show. Just ironing that out. And if you'd like to email me, you just have to be nice. Markets. Have you noticed, by the way, going forward, unless something really sticks out, the beginning of the show, the middle of the show, will be pure markets. Area, important stocks, the market itself, any of the ongoings. We'll describe it. We'll let you decide. It's your money. Yesterday we had said to you, the market looked to be setting up to go higher. Now, what does that mean? Well, if the markets are set up to go lower, they're not going higher. What? What are you talking about? Well, as we have taught you and as we have told you, markets in bullish markets set up certain ways, act certain ways, look certain ways. In bear markets, they act certain ways, they look certain ways, and they deal with it certain ways. Throughout the years, we have said to you, avoid this area, avoid that area. This area is leading, this area is lagging. You see, it would be too easy for... When you turn on the news, they tell you what the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ does. There's 200 sectors we follow. And how often has the market been strong and we have said to you, avoid these 15 areas? That's what markets are about, different areas, different stocks. So yesterday we told you the market was set up to go higher. That's all. And what that simply means is we had rallied up off of the backing away of the tariffs, or as they are saying, taco. I think that's pretty funny, by the way. No, and that is not a rub on the president. He had no choice. He crashed the markets. He couldn't keep crashing the markets, so he had to back away from the tariffs. Do not believe a word he says about, no, it has to do with this and that. They were scared crapless that they were crashing the markets. So, for the last 3 weeks after a move up, the markets had settled down. They were sitting down. They were hanging out. Simple as that. That's a potential setup for higher prices. What do we tell you? We look for stair steps. Just draw stair steps going up. That's what we look for in markets. You go up, you make a right turn, that's a step. And if you don't even pull back, you just sit there, that tells you there really aren't any sellers. We're talking the market now, not individual areas. And what's happened recently off of the latest taco, which was the China, the backing away from those big tariffs, the market has settled down. And then the backing away from the European Union tariffs, taco, We came into last Tuesday gapping up, and that kept us range bound. Setup. Potentially. Doesn't mean it has to happen. Well, today the Dow is up 214, S&P 34, NASDAQ 156, NASDAQ up 170. The semiconductors up a juicy 130. All this artificial intelligence talk, that's back. There's all this talk now on nuclear. We'll explain that in a second. Does it stick? That's the other part of the equation. Whenever price moves above a range, doesn't have to stick. It can tuck right back in like a frightened turtle. By the way, that's from Seinfeld. And in case you don't know, if I ever met Jerry Seinfeld, I would say my whole life is surrounded by you. That's all I do is use Seinfeldisms. Anyway, and Sheldon Cooper also from Big Bang. So we went a little bit above the last 3 weeks on the NASDAQ. On the NASDAQ 100. Let me see if the NASDAQ 100 did that. Give me one sec. Yeah, a little bit above. The S&P, a little bit above. Very little bit above, may I say. Actually, only by... actually, we finished right at it. Right at it, believe it or not. 59.70. The last close was 59.68.61. So right at it. And the big help today, there was some help. First off, oils. As we have told you, oils have been really dead money except for a few names. Except for a few names. They had a good day today. Oil prices have been ticking up a little bit. And they played a little bit of catch-up today. I wouldn't say it's anything bullish. You know how we can come out here and say, oh, we think the complexion has changed? I'm not so sure the complexion has changed. But maybe, just maybe, the oil stocks as a whole put in a low for now. So they've been an anchor for the market. They put in a low. They helped the market. But the bigger story were the semiconductors. They have been a big anchor also until the change of the tariffs. The taco. You don't mind me saying that, do you? And I'm not making fun of them. I just think it's funny. By the way, when I was in high school, North Miami Beach Senior High, we had a place called Taco Viva. The commercial was, when you say taco, say Viva. I love that place in North Miami Beach. I think there was a few of them. Taco Viva was the greatest. Oh, I loved them tacos back then. Anyway, so the semiconductors had a big day, 2.7% off of the artificial intelligence play that everybody's so excited about. Again, remember, the artificial intelligence in January crashed. And they said, don't worry, it'll come back. Well, it's a lot of it has come back. Broadcom is at new yearly highs. They report on Thursday. That'll tell a little bit of tale. NVIDIA is not back to new yearly highs. In fact, NVIDIA, which had a good day today, is just where it was last mid-June. Almost a year of no gains. And still below the highs of November and January, about 153, closed at 141 and change. So about 8% off the highs. But definitely much better bid. And if you look at the semiconductor index, 49.96 is the near high. It closed at 49.64 today. A move above, good. A move not above, not so good. Simple as that. On the pullback, it held some moving averages. So that was on the good end also. So that's where the good help was, and you also had a good advanced decline day today. Early in the day, the financials acted very poorly. And then what happens? What do we tell you about support areas and moving averages? When you have a chance, go look at Goldman Sachs. We follow the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average, but a shorter-term moving average is the 21. Don't ask me why it's 21 and not 20. This is just what I was taught. Goldman Sachs today hit the low, 593.73. The 21, 40 cents away. We'll explain that up next. And more on the markets into tomorrow. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So the banks were weak in the morning and bounced nicely off of moving averages. And what do we tell you about the big banks? If they ain't going lower, the market ain't going lower. Simple as that. If the semis are doing better, it's going to be tough to take the market down. Though, may I state for the record, CrowdStrike is down $32 in the aftermarket on their earnings report. Ouch. Stock has been into new yearly ground. In fact, it was up $17 going into today. And it is down 32 in the aftermarket. $17 this week, so it's had a good 2 days. So I don't have much to complain about this second. Economic sensitive stocks were hit hard yesterday. They bounced today. Go figure. And as I said, the advanced declines, pretty darn good day. And the artificial intelligence, the energy crap, good day. Story goes, Meta announced that they're doing this big thing with Constellation Energy, symbol CEG. 10 years, they're going to buy, let me see if I can find exactly, the announcement of a 20-year power purchase agreement with Meta to supply nuclear energy from its Clinton Clean Energy Facility in Illinois. Is that named after Bill Clinton? I don't know. Anyway, interesting enough, symbol CEG, Constellation Energy, opened up at around $342. It closed at $313, down on the day. Why is that good? Well, it's not. But it didn't hurt other stocks. GEV, kind of the same group, up 8. VST, up 8. Not bad. PWR, up 10. But CEG got hit in the teeth a little bit after a strong open. That was a story of today. And I must tell you that I got a call from some people about buying nuclear after hearing this story. And I tried to explain, just so you know, a lot of these nuclear stocks have no sales. They have been popping up, no sales. No sales. You know what no sales mean? If your son or daughter got on the corner with a lemonade stand and sold one glass of lemonade, they'd have more sales than some of these companies that are trading on the exchanges with billions and billions of market cap. Sometimes the market gets on a theme. Here's one. It's $7 billion market cap, no sales. I'm not going to mention names. Been public since September of 21. Actually, I think it came out as a SPAC. If you're buying the stock, you're paying $7 billion and they have no sales. By the way, that's exactly how to explain it. Shares times price is the market cap. $7 billion for no sales, which means they better have some sales going forward. So I'm not going to dissuade you on this. I'm just letting you know, you got to buy some beef. Meaty, M-E-A-T-Y. Be careful of no sales. We have told you one of the rules of no sales stocks. What is the rule? Eventually, all of them go back to where they came from if they continue to have no sales. And we've highlighted to you, what was it, yesterday, I think, one of the names has been trading for 20 years on the exchange with no sales. And believe me, I don't know how you don't go bankrupt. Welcome to the market sometimes. So that was really one of the big stories of the day. But more importantly, the market here is attempting to get above another range. We'll see if it sticks. If it does, the old highs come into play. Advanced decline figures were good. Semiconductors strong. The big banks came on today. There's still plenty of areas in not so great shape. You're darn straight. There are plenty. But that's okay. As long as there's one area in good shape, that's fine and dandy. And that's the story of today. Gold pulled back today. No biggie. The gold miners pulled back today. No biggie. I'm just looking around. And that's the GDX. Probably a little bit extended near term. Probably got to spend some time pulling back. Doesn't mean it has to. I saw some other weird things today. Symbol HIMS announces they are buying somebody. Opens at 67, closes at 54. And by the way, this is a stock I've been asked about a lot. So still, it's a little bit tricky out there. Be careful, but the big indices are attempting another move here. The S&P is right there. The NASDAQ is just about there, a little bit above. And again, something very important. Advanced decline figures had a good day today. We want to see that. Remember what we've told you. How do markets top? Advanced declines top first. More and more stocks, more and more sectors break down, and then the big indices follow suit. That is how it works. Yields, 10-year yield came down a little bit today. Was better, though. We're still sitting at the 10-year at 4.46. The 30-year at almost 5%, little under 5%. We love the fact that the Fed is doing nothing. Why are people calling me? They shouldn't be calling me. And we'll keep watch on those yields. Muy importante, those yields. I cannot begin to tell you how important those yields are. In case you don't know, we do our own little, how do we say this? Channel checks. Last quarter's GDP was negative. We think this quarter is going to be a nice 2.5%, 3%. Because last quarter had to do with imports and exports, and that's going to change. The consumer's still spending. So expect, I'm looking at let's call it 2.5%. The quarter we're in right now, GDP. The president will take credit, even though he said last quarter was Biden's. And by the way, we had a real big down day like a week or so ago, and the president said it was Biden's stock market, and now it's the president's stock market. By the way, he's such a politician. Up next, more in the markets. Elon Musk agreeing with us. Smart guy. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. That's a little bit of Boston. I only got to see Boston once. And I have to tell you, I don't remember who. They played with somebody, and to this day, I don't remember who they played with. I'm going to have to remember and figure that out. Boston and... No, it wasn't Fleetwood Mac. I don't remember. The only thing left that I'll be doing is I'm going to go see the Eagles at the Sphere. And John Anderson of Yes fame is playing on tour with the band Geeks, and he's doing all the songs from Yes. I will definitely go see that. But after that, I don't know if I need to see The Who. They're touring again. I may go see The Who. They're in South Florida in the next few months. And I'm done. All my favorites going by the wayside. We're getting old. Dang it. And if Rush ever tour again, it would be without Neil Peart. You'll not see me for about a week because I'll just follow him around for a week and go see 5 or 6 shows. And that's the music portion. The sports portion of the show, in a surprise move, my New York Knicks organization fired Tom Thibodeau, the coach of the Knicks. He takes them to the Eastern Finals, was close to go into the finals, and they fired his ass. I don't know. I'm not in agreement with that, but then again, I don't know. That is your sports part of the show today. So backing up again, good day today. I don't think it's ever a bad day if the semiconductors have a good day. I'll look them over. A big story will be Broadcom Thursday on whether it gets good reaction. NVIDIA, a very important story. So NVIDIA reports earnings, a deceleration of sales. I don't care what anybody else tells you. It opens up like 143, 144, closes at 139. The next day it follows to the downside to 135. Yesterday was up a couple of bucks. Today up $4. Nice day. Remains in a 1-year trading range with you're a little bit higher in November and January. People would say that's from there, but I go back to last June. Mid-June was 140.76. It's at 141.03 as I speak in after hours. So no gain, which gets me back to the other part of that equation. Do you remember last January? NVIDIA was in a 6-month range, and we came on the show on a Friday. We were already talking about it before that Friday, but on that Friday we said to you, just let you know it's tightened up. And if it breaks above $505, you buy the hell out of it. On Monday, it broke out above 505, went right to almost 1,000 within a couple of months. If NVIDIA, by chance, at any point in time, can break out of this 1-year thingamabob, guess what we'll be telling you? But there's one little fly in the whatever you call it. Their earnings are decelerating. 152, 103, 71, and a 33. Their sales are decelerating. So that'll be of note, but we'll be watching it for you. And it's meaningful because the rest of the semiconductor market follows it. Small and mid caps still completely underperforming us, the bigs. Yeah, us. But I'm letting you know if the IWM can break above 210.13 and stick, that'd be a stair step up, which would be on the Russell 2114.95. I'm going to leave the mid caps alone. Those are your small caps for you. We'll see how it plays out. How will you know? We'll be here every day. Moving on. Well. Elon. You know how much we love Elon Musk, right? We think he's magnificent. Quirky, but we think he's magnificent. The things he's created. Do you know, every time they put up another spaceship, I just walk outside my office here or at my house and see it go up. I just look east towards Cape Kennedy. Elon Musk put out a tweet today, or an X, and I quote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination." And then he goes on to say it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden America's citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Where have you heard that from? Us. Now let me explain a few things for you so you understand what's happening here. When I use the word Republicans, there you have it. I've always said to you, I think I may have done this yesterday, past performance when we used to handicap the Greyhounds, past performance. Under Donald Trump's 4 years, not including COVID, he ran big deficits. He increased spending even though he said he wouldn't. Biden supersized it. Well, we're letting you know that the Speaker of the House, who was on the Sunday shows this weekend, it was con artistry at his finest. And I would say it to his face. And I understand they have no choice. Oh, wait a minute, they do. So let me explain a few things to you so you have an understanding. They're doing no cutting. They're increasing debt by, let's say, $10, and then they're cutting $1, and they're telling you, look, we're cutting $1. That's not cutting. They keep saying growth will take care of everything. No, it won't. Growth could help. Growth could increase revenues, which will lower the deficit some, but you're still not stopping the growth of spending. That's not changing. And when I say to you, in the last 10 years, the tax revenues to the government, us, our money, to them, was up 60%. $5 trillion we sent them. But over the last 10 years, their spending is up 95% to over $7 trillion. Think about that. The year 2019, they spent $4.4 trillion. They're going to do like 7.2 now. That's like a 65-70% increase in the size of government in what, 5-6 years? That's sheer insanity. It's the spending. And imagine if they stopped raising the spending, that $5 trillion would cover 2019 spendings plus $600 billion. But they don't care. And why don't they care? Because they know that GDP, gross domestic product of this country, has been very much dependent on government largesse. And if they cut $1 trillion of spending, which they could, that comes out of GDP and could hurt their chances of winning the election in November of next year. That's what's going on. So their job is to BS you. There's only a few people in the Republican Party like Rand Paul and a couple others that mean business. Let's hope it gets changed up as it gets to the Senate. Up next, we'll expound a little bit more and then much more. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And by the way, that 10 years I just brought up to you saw our deficit, our total debt go from 18 trillion to 36 trillion. And they don't give a crap. They don't care. They could not last in an interview with me. I watched the Speaker Johnson do his thing, and I guess the anchor has to be somewhat classy about it. I wouldn't be so classy. Speaker Johnson, in this bill, what is federal spending going to be next year? Humana. No, what's federal spending going to be next year? Well, kind of like, What is federal spending going to be? And let's say he came out with the number of $7.2 trillion. Well, how is it possible we only spent $4.4 trillion just in 2019? Where is that $2.8 trillion more going? Humana. Ralph Cramden time. Where is it going? Well, wherever they want to put it. Speaker Johnson. Joe Biden has a $1.8 trillion inflation reduction bill that they admitted will not reduce inflation, and $350 billion of those dollars went to John Podesta. Why can't you just cut that out of the baseline budget? And just so you know, they baseline budget. You know what that means? Every year you start at the last year. Not at zero, but you start at the last year. So they're just move it around and spend it. Speaker Johnson, why not cut that out? Why not take us from $7.2 trillion? We're going to be nice. Just to $6 trillion. Why can't we just spend $6 trillion next year? That's 4.4 plus another 1.6 trillion just from 2019. What's wrong with that? Humana. You catching my drift? It's laughable at this point in time. Glad to see Elon Musk completely agreeing. The Republicans are already going after him. Glad to see, what's his name, Johnson in the Senate saying no. And it's going to be tough to get through the Senate. I'm hopeful we're going to get some cuts in there. I said to you last week, if my back was against the wall and I had no choice, would I still vote for this? I did say yes, though. If I had no choice. Why? Can't afford to lose those tax cuts. Cannot afford to lose those tax cuts from the original Trump administration. I'd have to close my nose and vote yes. But as I stated, the hope is that something's going to get done as they move through the Senate. This is no big, beautiful bill. It's a too big bill. There's nothing beautiful about it. It's the best way I can put it. And it's tiresome. It's absolutely tiresome. In other news, that stupid, slimy, murdering terrorist scumbag who's going to be in a 6x9 cell the rest of his lonely life. They arrested his whole family. They're illegal, and they're heading out of town. He will never see his family again. That's what you get for trying to light people on fire. Just letting you know. In that same news, you had AOC and a bunch of Israel Jew haters come out. Oh, we don't like that happening. Oh, by the way, Israel's committing genocide. Up yours. In other news, The New York Times and the Washington Post continue to lie about everything and then have to correct their lies. The latest one was supposedly Israel killed 31 people standing in line for food in Gaza. Correction, we've deleted the post because its early versions of the article didn't meet our fairness standards. Up yours, Washington Post and New York Times. They jump to anything anti-Jew and anti-Israel while kissing the ass of North Korea and Cuba and places like that. As I stated, up yours. That was in the news. And that's all the news of the day. And I still don't understand. I still do not understand why they would fire a coach that took the New York Knicks to the Eastern Conference Final. Very depressing. And that's the story of today. By the way, late breaking news, another GOP Republican Thune. We obviously respect everything that Elon did with Doge, but on this particular issue, we have a difference of opinion. We're going to proceed full speed ahead. Of course they are. Massive debt and deficits brought to you by the Republicans. They are not conservatives. They are Democrats. The Democrats are Marxists. And now we finished with the news of the day. Going into tomorrow, CrowdStrike down $24. I don't think that affects much. I really don't. The market seems on decent footing. We finished just above or right around the highs of the last 3 weeks. You got some momentum. Tomorrow will be another day. We'll keep you informed. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Have a very good night. Bye-bye.